Greetings all, it's DFuxa, and welcome to a Let's Learn run for Birth of the Empires. For those looking to play this game for the first time, and may need a little bit of help basically doing so. Now, before I begin here, I will note that in the bottom of my video description here, you'll basically see a timestamp. That will take you to term 1 of this game, because right now I'm basically going to go through some past playlists I've already done for this game, the wiki for this game, and the Empire setup screen, which are basically all things that you may want to basically skip if you basically already gotten past that point. So timestamp for term 1 down here. Anyhow, and yes, I've actually already played this game quite a few times. And in fact, I already have a playlist basically up for all different factions. Starting from term 1 and going all the way to the end, I basically already won this game with all different factions, various ways, in diplomatic victory for the Coalition of Planets. We had a research victory for the Mega Alliance, as well as the Koran Empire. With their friends Star Network, I basically had a intel victory. Heon Trading was basically another research victory. Entire Invaders was basically a domination victory, etc., etc. I also have this place over here. You may want to ignore this. This is a early attempt to basically try and get a place off the ground for this game. Didn't really happen, but whatever. And yeah, there's basically a bunch of our playlists. These are not really dedicated to a new player basically learning the game, but they're probably still worth watching. Specifically after basically watch this one perhaps, but also basically if you already know how to play this game, these might be fun to watch too. Or if you just want to learn what this game is basically all about, these might be a good place to view as well. Alright, so there's basically a wiki for this game. And I will note that you might be tempted to go to the first link that basically is shown to you in Google here. I recommend you basically avoid the first link here because you actually want to go down to the second link, the one that's basically German. This game is basically programmed by German developers, and as such, basically the German wiki is actually a little bit more up to date than an English one. But at the same time, just wiki here, you can still basically learn quite a bit about the different factions because they basically have an English breakdown for all the pages. So basically going to the Empire overview screen here, basically see here's a bit of the empires. There's basically a breakdown of what their basically strengths and weaknesses are. If I go to the Qatari invaders here, you can basically see a breakdown of what these guys basically are all about more specifically. There's links to their starships and troops. So basically here's their starships right here. I'll note by the way if the German bar issue is possible to change this with Google, so you can translate this page and then Google will just translate all the German into English. And then you can get English basically words, basically all the German ones. Alright, so let's jump into the game proper. Alright, so this is basically the title screen for Birth of the Empires. And before I basically go any further from here, I want to note that this is basically a game that is actually the spiritual successor of another game. That game being called Star Trek, The Next Generation, Birth of the Federation. And as such, for those basically playing this game, you'll probably notice that a lot of these faction names are very similar. Almost word for word, very similar to the different factions in Star Trek. So
the Coalition of Planets.
The first one here, the Coalition of Planets, is basically of course based off the Federation. And basically clicking on this link here, you get a little audio blurb as well as a description for what they're basically all about. And by the way, you can basically pause the recording if you want to read this or not, but I'm not going to read through it or anything like that, so just pause it yourself if you basically want to read it. And I'll note that each of these factions basically they have a different strategy
Trade Union
for basically how they basically play out in the game. So I'll note that for Coalition of Planets, are basically a diplomatic type of faction. The Heon here are basically all about making lots of money and basically buying lots of stuff.
The Koran Empire.
The Koran are basically all about military affairs. They're also conquest and fighting ship battles and stuff like that. Now I will note by the way that for those basically looking to play the game for the first time, the beginning faction you might basically choose to play the game with.
The Qatari Union.
Is these guys right here. So I'll note this is basically the go-to faction if you basically want to get like off the ground basically learn a game, because these guys have a lot of bonuses to like a lot of different areas, and they're like all very newbie friendly for the most part. So go for these guys if you basically want to learn a game, basically play from start to finish for the most part, successfully, so to speak. Factions you should avoid though include this one.
The Omega Alliance.
The Mega Alliance are basically they are a strong faction, but they're also very hard to get going in the early going of the game, and they have a lot of malices that can really hurt them as well for new player who basically doesn't actually know how all the systems basically work. And besides them, this is also a faction that suggests this is something you might want to play in a wiki, but I suggest avoiding it yourself.
The Rotharian Star Network.
Unlike Birth of the Federations, this is basically based off the Roman star empire. These guys are basically one of the harder factions to play, I think, in my opinion, because they basically also have a very hard start, but much like the Mega Alliance, and they also seem kind of weak in my opinion. But we're basically gonna play these guys because I can basically show off a lot of the different aspects of the game. If I play with these guys, I'll be able to show off a lot of the things that may not be as showable with the Koran Empire or the Coalition Planets. So we're going to go with these guys. I also note by the way is a side by the way. I did a playlist for these guys, of course. This is also a faction I didn't really like the playlist very much for, because I didn't really get to show off a lot of the good aspects of the Rotharian Star Network in my gameplay. And basically want to play these guys again to show off proper showing of what these guys are all about. So there's that too. Alright, so here's the setup screen for setting up your galaxy. You basically set what the galaxy shape is going to be. So it can have elliptic, which basically has elliptic style galaxy rings and stuff like that. You have spiral, which basically has spiral galaxy. All different forms basically a galaxy basically can be formed. You just select them here. I'm just going to leave it on a regular because this is probably the best game map basically to select. There's also something called expansion speed. I'm going to put this down to classic because I really know what it basically does myself, and it doesn't seem to really affect the gameplay from what I noticed. So we're just going to leave it on classic for now. Galaxy width and galaxy height basically correspond to how big you want your galaxy to be. So you can have a very small map of 10. Which basically means you have a width of 10 and a height of 10. You can also raise this all the way up to 70. So you can have a massive game map that spreads from the vast corners of one of the map to the other. For the purpose of this let's play though, we're just gonna leave this down to 3 and 20, because that's what it's usually set at. Star density basically refers to how many objects we're gonna have in the game. So you'll basically have with 35 one third of the galaxy being covered anomalies and planets and stuff like that. And a note by over here you can basically set what's gonna basically happen with these factions as well. So anomaly density refers how many planets are gonna have for the star density are gonna be black holes, wormholes, neutron stars and stuff like that. Minor density basically refer to how many of these planets the star systems that are going to exist, how many are going to have a minor basically on them. So you may have a minor planet which is not really a playing race in the game, but are basically there. Alien frequency basically refers to how many alien objects are basically going to roam around the galaxy. So this would be the Borg cubes of this game, though there's no Borg cubes in this one. You'll basically have alien life forms that basically cause you issues. You'll have future aliens to basically come back and cause you issues and stuff like that, etc., etc. Random events basically can be turned off or on if you basically want to. This basically refers to mortality issues, systematic climatic events, stuff like that. Maximum number of times when nations join forces basically is a very interesting setting for this game. I will note that this game basically has as you see 6 factions right here, and if you basically turn on
the Rotharian Star Network,
the number of times nations join forces, this basically cause the factions over here basically join each other. So at some point in the game, you'll basically have say the Koran Empire, if you're basically plays the AI, join the Heian Trade Union. So you basically have a very big giant Heian Trade Union in the game, for example.
the Rotharian Star Network.
All right, so For these other settings here, basically have victory conditions, so it basically refers to ways you can basically win the game. I'm going to turn off the research victory because I basically already gotten the research victory several times right now, so I basically want to turn it off. And I'm also going to basically have it so we'll have random events on, I think, as well. We're also going to basically have difficulty set to very hard. Now, I want to note that basically I wouldn't suggest doing this for your first run through, but I'm basically putting on the very hard difficulty because it'll basically let me show off aspects of the game I may not be able to with the easier settings. And basically that'll mean I might get invaded, for example, which means I'm able to show off how I basically do invaders behind so you get invaded and stuff like that. Set minimum number of invaders basically refers to how many plan space you have around your star system. If I set it to free, basically I'll have free star system basically around me, so we'll have possibly two planets next to me, maybe wormholes, stuff like that. I could have free star systems, and maybe one has some mire on it, so that's what this basically will do to you. I'm gonna leave it down to the normal setting of 2 because I want to keep this basically as similar to the start settings as possible. And let's just go from here. All right, so I'm just gonna basically check the recording here to basically see how it sounds because sometimes it pops and stuff like that. But other than that, I'll press the next button next time, and we'll just jump into the first round for the game. So bear with me. Alright, well, I'm back on a touch screen because I figured it'd be probably important basically to do this, by the way. New game.
The Rotharian Star Network.
My faction I'm playing. We're going to set difficulty up to very hard. And I'm just going to hit the research to enable. Alright, so the reason I basically want to do this is because this is actually a setup for the game I'm basically going for. And it's a little bit different from what I basically had at the the end of the last segment, so to speak. I want to note that basically I had this set to be enabled. And that would actually disable random events, which is not what I actually want to basically do for this playthrough, so we're actually going to leave this to disabled. Something to note about how this buttons basically work here. The enable and disable buttons basically indicate where you want to disable the button, basically disable total victory, or you want to basically enable them. So I want to basically set this all to disable stuff for research because, well, I want to have the other victory types as not and minus research 1. And I want this basically set to disable because I want to have random events basically enabled. So that's how the logic basically works with enable and disable buttons, by the way, in this game. Anyhow, that's basically enough of an explanation for that. Let's actually get into the game proper, and we'll go from there. Alright, so I'll note that basically we start with a single system, randomly somewhere in the galaxy. Around our system, we'll basically have a couple star systems, and I can already tell you by the way that one of them is going to be a mire over here, so that's good, worth noting. Alright, so I'll note by the way again, there's going to be a second timestamp in this video because I decided at this point I'm actually have 2 timestamps. One's going to be to get to this point of the video, and the second timestamp is going to be to basically get you guys to after the initial explanations of everything that's going to happen right here because, well, turn 2, that's when the second timestamp is going to be. Because turn 1 is going to be a bit of explanation for everything here. Alright, so first things first. I'm basically surrounded by 2 star systems here. This Sitya is basically a mire for the game. And as soon as I basically visit them, there'll be a mire place to pop up for diplomacy.
Affirmative.
I'm gonna have all my colony ships basically go over to Lucidia over here because I want them basically to be terraforming disguised planets on turn 2. And I'll basically explain a little bit about that when we get to turn 2. But for now, we're just gonna leave that guy to go right there.
Affirmative.
And we're gonna send this guy over here to the other system over here.
Affirmative.
Now, I'll note that for my scout here, he's gonna go up in this direction.
Affirmative.
And I'm also gonna basically set his combat order to be avoid. And you can see over here the combat order has been changed to avoid over here. My scout's job basically right now is basically to search around my initial area over here. And he's basically gonna try and find other miners basically to interact with, other planets to colonize, stuff like that. Basically he's got a very simple job early on. Nope, always got a range along. Basically just 3 boards here, one for red, one for yellow, one for green. Each of these ranges basically indicate how far my vessel can basically travel. And as you can see from the medium board here, this guy can only travel up to this yellow border.
Affirmative.
And a scout here can travel a little bit farther, basically up to the red border.
Affirmative.
Alright, so that's basically my starships. The next thing I want to do is jump into my star system and basically get them to do a little bit of like, you know, production and stuff. Now I can hit system here, and this will take me right to my like, you know, single system. And that's because like, you know, there's only one system basically in the game, but generally for like accessing your system, you just want to double click on these, so... Whoops, I guess we're doing it wrong. Right, you want to basically like, you know, click on the system first, and then you want to press like system, and then like, you know, jump into it that way. When I basically have a second system, I'll basically show like, you know, selecting like, you know, different systems, but you know, I guess I'll have to wait for that for a little bit, so bear with me on that, I guess. Alright, so you basically have several tabs basically for your system here. Once the build list, which basically indicates what you want to build on like, you know, your queue here. And I basically can set myself to be able to like, you know, 2 titanium mines, like a laboratory. I actually want to get the laboratory first, and we'll build like the 2 titanium mines after that. You have production over here. And I'm not way away from my production here. We're just going to gently turn down my primitive organic factories here. I'll turn this down to 0. Actually, before I do anything for production, by the way, I'll note that you can see, like, you know, how much it basically takes to, like, every turn for, like, you know, a 0 standpoint to build stuff. Note that basically takes me 11 turns without, like, you know, any, like, production at all to build up, like, these titanium mines, 8 for, like, the fabricators, 4 for, like, the organic factories. If I put 2 pips basically here for, like, the fabricators, notice that basically drops the primitive organic factory on the 1 turn to be built, 2 turns for the fabricators, and 3 turns for the laboratories. I put in a 3rd pip here, 2 turns for like the laboratory and the titanium mines. 6, or like 4 I guess first. 4 basically raises fabricators down to 1 because like, you know, they take like, you know, 8 turns, but this basically reduces down to like, you know, 1 with like 4 of them. And 6 basically reduces these down to 1. So one basically trying to explain here is that like, you know, if you want to basically produce these in 1 turn, you basically have to have a pro amount of like, you know, technology basically like appropriate for your fabricators to basically build them. So with 6 fabricators, I'll be able to build like, you know, my laboratory as well as my 2 titanium mines basically up to like, you know, 6 basic laboratories as well as like, you know, 6 basic titanium mines in a few turns. And I'll not buy very much a min-maxer. I want to basically get my research up as fast as possible, and I want to basically be produced as much titanium as possible, like, you know, early on. So we're basically gonna like, you know, throw an extra pip basically in like, you know, titanium and 2 laboratories basically for now. We're gonna basically leave our primitive organic factory basically like to like 0 here for a moment, and I don't know why my screen's flickering there, but no, that's not the recording, that's the actual game itself flickering, but whatever. Alright, so I'm not bothered you have like a little bit of food storage basically in this game. So basically we can like last like a few turns without having like anything be produced for food, so that's fine basically for now. Alright, so that's the build list. Basically, you build your buildings right here, and then you can like select like your shipyard to build like ships, and eventually your barracks when you basically build barracks to build troops. Production is basically for like various productions, so we're basically producing a lot of fabricators right here, some research, some titanium mines right here, and resources. And by the way, you can select the button for like, you know, secondary button basically here for like, you know, resources and production right down here for like, you know, queuing in this stuff. There's nothing for energy right now, but this will basically be where we basically power up our buildings, so we go to the energy screen to basically power up buildings when we build them. Structures basically gives you a breakdown of like all different like structures basically in like your sector. So we can see right now we basically have like, you know, 8 primitive organic factories producing like, you know, 19 food each, 10 basic fabricators, they produce 9 industry each, 5 basic laboratories producing 7 research each, 4 basic titanium mines producing 17 titanium each, and 1 referring in space stock, which is basically used to, you know, build spaceships in it. After that comes trade. Basically in here we'll be doing like trade with stuff later on. We have 1 resource route to basically start with, but no trade routes, but you know, this will change as we get a bit more population. I'll note that basically every like, you know, 20 like, you know, billion population, you basically get trade routes. So once we see us go up from 15 to 20, we'll basically get trade route at that point. Over here you can basically see your interstellar storage as well as your system storage. So right now we have nothing in interstellar storage, and we have 1,000 titanium in our like, you know, system storage. You can see like, you know, how much basically is lost if you basically have it in interstellar storage over here. Multiplayer is basically used to like, you know, shift stuff over, so that's what that's basically for. You can basically like, you know, indicate how much space you want to shift over for like, you know, a multiplier down here. I'll deal with this more when I basically get around to it, but I just want to show it off like, you know, initially for now. And a manager. I will show off the manager, but we're going to wait a few turns before I basically show this off, so we'll leave this alone for now. Alright, so that's basically my system set up. Just one thing I always want to do before I basically go to, like, click our, like, end turn button over here. So, I'll note that in this game, there's basically 6 fields of research in this game. You have one for biotech, which is basically going to indicate your food. Energy tech, which is basically for, like, your power production. Computer tech, which is basically going to be for trade and for, like, communication, like, type of technologies. Construction tech, which is basically going to be for resource buildings, as well as for, like, your fabricators, of course, in this game. Propulsion tech basically indicates how fast and how far your starships can travel. Very important to basically level up early on. And weapon tech. Very, straightforward. It basically indicates your weapons. Now, I want to note, by the way, early on right now, my focus is going to be on getting, like, these 4 techs basically up to level 1 right away. So, I'm actually going to, like, drop these guys down here to weapon tech and hero tech for now. I'm actually going to lock these up, by the way. I'll note, by the way, if you want to, basically, can double click, basically lock these screens, or, like, unlock them. And when you basically, like, have them locked like this, basically nothing can be put into them. So, if I adjust this basically up to 50%, it's only going to adjust this stuff over here. If I basically drop this down, it'll basically throw, like, this stuff back into here. Won't be interactive with these right now. They're basically locked where they are. Note, by the way, we can also lock stuff with, like, technologies in it, and then that'll basically cause, like, everything else to interact with each other, not with, like, this one. This will be locked at 50% now. Alright, so, early on, I want to basically have energy tech up to 50% or so. Biotech basically up to 10%. And both of these basically up to 20% for now. The reason I'm basically setting it up like this, energy tech I want to basically have up to 50% because we don't have access to, like, a power source right now. And if I basically, like, get, like, gravitational turbines, if I basically get those early on in, like, the next few turns, before, like, this guy basically colonizes a Borkum, I'll be able to basically get, like, some extra, like, free power structures basically on, like, Borkum when I basically colonize it. So, I'm min-max, so I basically want to have, like, a little bit of, like, oomph basically in the energy tech to basically get out of the way right away for, like, the gravitational turbine. I also want to research everything else because, I'll note by the way in this game here, you can, if you want, to basically throw, like, everything into, like, a specific, like, technology, like, research like this, but it's very inefficient basically to do it like that. And if you basically find, like, a technology in the game, like, especially Discovery, it can very easily, like, boost these basically up, like, very easily to, like, 100%. And I look like if you're basically, like, all your eggs in one basket, basically, so to speak, you're basically going to, like, hurt yourself, basically, technology-wise. So, early on, I basically want to basically have it so, like, we basically, like, max out, like, energy tech, like, pretty quickly, but not all of it basically in energy tech right away. And I want to also basically work on these art technologies as well. Alright, so, there is something else I want to basically do, by the way, before I basically leave the screen here. So, this is basically your ship design. And I want to note that early on, for the Reference Star Network, their colony ships basically have shields. And it's very important to basically do this right now, but I just want to basically make these weaker. That'll basically reduce the industry cost for, like, building up a colony ship, and that'll be very important basically later on, down the road. I can also do the same thing with my scouts by the way as well. I can make these guys basically, like, be a lot weaker, so they can be easier to produce if I want them to. I'll probably basically, like, make these guys a little bit stronger when we get down the road to it, but for now, basically, I'm going to, like, reduce this guy down to be, like, 374 industry basically cost to build, which makes it a lot cheaper to basically build in the long run. Nothing really to do with the scout because it's always as weak as it can be, so whatever. Alright, so, we're just going to hit the end turn button, I guess, and we'll basically go to the second timestamp where we basically, jump into, like, the second sector, so to speak. So, here we go.
We have established contact with an alien culture.
Alright, so there's the miners basically right next to me. They're the Listinians. You'll note, by the way, these guys have, like, a very, like, hostile opinion of me right now. They also have, as you can see here, financial properties and productive properties, so they're very good, like, miner basically to get, but we basically have to, like, work on them a little bit to get them in my empire because they, don't exactly like me right now. Down here, basically get, like, a briefing of what type of structures and stuff you basically build these guys, we basically get them, so if I basically get access to the Listinians, but get access to their mining network, which basically gives me a resource bonus as well as a trade route bonus to, basically produce, like, more materials. So, very powerful, like, resource-based, like, world is what this guy's going to be perhaps in the future. Alright, so here's our Empire screen. The Empire screen basically gives a breakdown of what basically happened. So, on our first turn, we basically built a laboratory. And we also got contact with little scenes basically over here. If I go to the galaxy screen here, you can see, like, we basically, like, have a colony ship over here in Listia. And we have a colony ship over here in Aboricum. Now, I'll with, like, Boricum over here.
Select a planet for terraforming.
I want to get him to basically work on, like, selling up Boricum here a little bit. And this guy over here in Listia is basically going to start, like, colonizing the worlds over here.
Select a planet for terraforming.
Now, not by obviously colonize the worlds that basically have the less terraforming power as possible in these. So over here you can see like, terraform how many turns basically takes. So I'll note that basically my colony ship here, it basically colonizes at like 1 point per turn. He'll be able to colonize like the ocean plane here in 1 turn. I basically want to get this out of the way as fast as possible. Now, one reason basically colonizing the Mars worlds here is because if he basically colonizes worlds, it'll basically make it so like he basically likes you more. So right now he's basically angry, but as he basically colonizes this guy's world, he'll basically like me a lot more. So we'll basically get to work on that right away, and like he'll like me as more and more as we go along, so to speak.
Affirmative.
Okay, we're just gonna move my scout ship over there for like next turn. Alright, so colonizing over here, colonizing right here. That's basically what we're gonna do for like the second turn here. So we're just gonna keep pushing on like a few turns here.
Terraforming has been completed.
Alright, so on our end screen for like the second turn, you can see like we terraform a planet because it only costs us 1 turn to colonize that or terraform that first planet in Listia right there. So note by the way this planet's been terraformed. It's got 0 billion population on it. Note that basically for the color scheme for your planets here, red basically indicates that the planets can be colonized or terraformed rather, but currently they basically aren't basically terraformed for life forms to live on them. Light green basically means that the planets have been terraformed, but they basically don't have anyone on this yet. Green, full green like this, basically means there are people basically on the planet right there. And of course, blue, like this, means that there's basically no way of living on these planets here. So that's basically a planet that can't be lived on right there, the geoplastic one. Alright, so
select a planet for terraforming.
He's gonna get to work on let's see a free over here. And in the meantime, Scott's gonna move over here to Giant Fire, so it's over there basically. Alright, here's basically a random event by in this game. The Hull Virus. And by the way, we basically built the buildings I wanted to in reverse already. So, I want to note that basically the Hull Virus basically killed this guy's hull right here. So you can see over here he's got a hull of 1. Or basically hover over and you can see he's got well, if you look in there specifically, you can see integrity of 1 of 3200, so he's got only 1 hull basically left, this guy, so that happened to him. Now, I don't really care too much about my colony ship being 1 HP for his hull like that, so he's probably fine for a little bit, but it's something to keep note of basically in the future. But if you basically can have hull viruses happen at any given time, and they basically kill hulls of your vessels, you can upgrade to your military vessels, your scouts, anything basically, so you want to be very careful of that.
Affirmative.
By the way, here's Giant Fire. It's a fairly nice system with terrain basically on it, as well as crystals. And basically hover over the star here, you can see the bonuses basically in the system. So it's got a bonus of 100% duranium as well as 75 crystals. And by the way, over in Listia, by the way, you can see this guy has a bonus basically in deuterium. And Boricum basically has a bonus that's basically in deuterium, as well as it's got some direction basically in for building ships eventually down the road as well. So these guys too, by the way, as well, so that's nice. Note by the way, this guy has a food bonus as well. Food's very important basically for feeding up your population, and actually basically important for building power. Very important bonuses to basically have if you want to basically have special structures or not have to worry about having tons of food structures basically to feed your people. I'll note that in Boricum over here, by the way, they don't have any food production or energy production, so try to build any special structures or build any resource structures, or not resource structures, anything besides food structures is going to be very difficult early on because this guy's going to require lots of food basically to keep it alive. Same with Giant Fire as well, but it is what it is. Alright, so let's go to Referius here, and we're just going to quickly go to production again. I want to make sure that both my titanium mine as well as my laboratory are basically producing at full power. And for now, Something I basically like to do early on, by the way, is build like, 4 like, primitive organic factories because it's up to 12. So we're just gonna build 4 primitive organic factories away. Note, by the way, like my food production, we've like lost about half of it right there for like food there early on because we didn't have anything in food there. But well, it should get like a lot better going on from here, so that's fine. We'll just build like 4 primitive organic factories and he'll have lots of space for food in the long run, so to speak. All right, so let's end the turn again. And again, I guess, because if nothing basically happens, basically pretty structured, but just like nothing really relevant that's basically pulling away to like, the Empire screen. And again, nothing was produced in our organic factory. Alright, so there's something important basically popping up. So the first system basically has enough population for a trade route. When I basically said like this guy gets a trade route of 20 billion population, there we go. He's got his like first trade route. Now, there's no one first guy to trade with like right now because like these guys don't like me and they're still pretty angry with me, but hopefully that'll change in the future as we go along here. Alright, so Referris basically has like one more turn on that. Referris is basically built up like the 4 like primitive organic factories that I want. And notice by the way we can have like a positive food at this point, so we're seeing lots of food basically in like Referris again. Now, I wanted to basically do this right now, but we're just going to build our first colony ship. Now, note that basically you can see like how many turns we're going to take to build this if you have like nothing. So it costs us 218 like turns basically to build like a colony ship. I haven't used any of my money just yet, and it's a good time to use it. So let's buy ourselves our first colony ship here. Notice this is back to like 1 turn, so basically like 1 turn is to produce like this colony ship. And that means we can like spend like our turn here basically maximize our food, our laboratories, as well as our titanium. So very important.
Affirmative.
And apparently we got like a couple more like inhabited like systems down here, by the way. Not a whole lot of miner space around, but that happens sometimes.
We have a new technology.
All right, there we go. So I basically researched my energy tech, and we now have access to gravitational turbines when I basically colonize my first like system. So very important.
Terraforming has been completed.
We'll also terraform Listia over here. Alright, so Freeland basically doing his turn here. So I'll note that Listia 3 has been terraformed over here. And now I want to basically focus on like, Listia number 2 over here. So
Select a planet for terraforming.
we're going to start basically terraforming over here a little bit. Ah, there we go. There's a miner system right there. There's a Sapphire. So we're going to find some miners basically in this system over here. Alright, so over here in Aboricum. Now I want to, by the way, I'm basically just holding off on like terraforming like Aboricum 3 because, well, it's not like I'm basically going to spend like all my time basically like, terraforming this one planet basically to like, get online and stuff like that. Now, one basic thing about doing an Aboricum over here, I think we're going to have our colony ship make it away over here, and basically like, help with like terraforming is basically up over here, so that'll be the plan. And over here in Referris, I'm just gonna like build up a couple of like fabricators over here. Probably note that I can build like gravitational turbines now in Referris, so because we have like the tech for gravitational turbines, I can now build if I want to. All right, so research over here, by the way. Note by the way, this is now like progress to 0% because we've already unlocked our first like level of energy tech. So I just want to basically take the technology out of here for now. And I obviously focus more on like, propulsion tech and construction tech over here to basically get these online a little bit more. That'll work just fine. We'll basically have 30% in biotech, 35% and 30% in propulsion tech and construction tech. Perfect for me, I think, right now. For the most part. Alright, so let's go to the next turn.
We have established contact with an alien culture.
Alright, so here's basically the Zavar. So much like before, you can basically get breakdown what these guys are all about. So you got like, by the way, I should probably note, by the way, you can like see like these guys have different properties. This guy's a sneaky property, it's very developed, so unlike the Listians, this guy's like a little bit more powerful. It's the Temple Zavar, which is basically a special structure to like increase morale as well as internal security bonus. And also has access to Destroyer as well, so down the road this guy's gonna be able to get like special like starships basically to like defend himself. He's got a battleship as well as a destroyer. Now, something to note by the way about these like two like miners down here. I wonder if there's a Sci-Fi who are also cooperative. They have like, you know, low cooperability. So this guy's very like, you know, likely to be like, you know, not influenced by money. As opposed to like the Listians over here, who basically has like, you know, normal cooperability. So these guys could be influenced by money by a little bit. So if I want to, I could basically go to these guys and give them money, and they might like me a little bit more as a result of it. But for now, let's just keep focusing on like, you know, terraforming these guys' plants for now. So we'll do that instead. Now I want to buy this guy's. This guy's got like a cooperative like relationship with me. We're gonna offer him a trade agreement. So we'll go trade here. I'm just gonna send him a trade agreement to this guy and see if he wants to trade with us a little bit. Alright, so this guy's gonna make his way up to over here. You're basically gonna terraform over there. And we're gonna have this guy over here to start to, like, you know,
Select a planet for terraforming.
help with terraforming this planet over here.
Select a planet for terraforming.
So that'll be his job. Alright, let's end our turn.
Terraforming has been completed.
Alright, so we basically terraformed the, like, you know, ocean planet over here in, like, the Aborkum sector. We're gonna get him now to help with this guy over here.
Planet for terraforming.
Now, the reason I basically like help with this guy, like, you know, do this planet first before doing, like, you know, Aborkum 2. Note that this basically has like an even number for like terraforming, and because these guys, like, you know, each basically terraform at a point each, they're basically gonna do, like, you know, in 13 turns basically like to terraform like Aborkum 2. This is opposed to being like, you know, when I basically could try terraform like the turn previous. If he's at like a terraform of 27 points, one was terraforming points to be wasted when I basically was like terraforming the planet. So I did like the ocean planet there first before, like, you know, jumping to this planet next. No.
Affirmative.
Alright, so there's a continuum rip, by the way. This is basically a very dangerous, like, you know, thing that can basically destroy your ships if you basically go in here, so we're gonna avoid the continuum rip for now and, like, you know, go around it, so to speak. By the way, over here in Repairs, basically, like, you know, managed to, like, you know, build up our, like, you know, constructors. And I think for now, we're just gonna keep building up some fabricators over here, I think. Possibly. Now, I'll note that basically at turn 11 here is basically like, you know, the time we want to just basically decide, like, you know, what you're basically gonna be building, what you're not gonna be building, so to speak. Usually at this point, I might build, like, you know, another, like, you know, colony ship, because I basically have the money basically to buy, like, you know, another one basically at turn 11 here for, like, you know, a full, like, you know, amount of, like, money here. And I could do that, basically send this guy over here to basically help with terraforming over here, or over here to Listia basically to help with, like, you know, terraforming over here. Neither of those are a bad idea, by the way, but I'm basically gonna just focus on, like, you know, getting some more, like, you know, production structures up first to get, like, more fabricators, I think, right now. And the whole reason I basically want to get these fabricators basically online right now is because I want to basically explore over here to see if there's, like, another planet to terraform or not, because these guys aren't going to be able to do anything if they, like, have, like, you know, no place to terraform the, like, colony ships. So for now, we're just going to explore around with my scout here a little bit more, basically see what's around me, so we'll do that first. I'll note at this point, but I really need to get this up to level 2 for, like, you know, exploring, but, you know. Well, here's what we're basically going to do at this point, by the way. I'm going to drop this down to 50% for, like, you know, biotech. And we're going to drop this basically down to, like, 20% for construction. And I'll basically put, like, 65% basically of my, like, you know, technology points into propulsion tech here. I'll note, but I basically need to have, like, you know, more, like, you know, space-based research for my, or, like, you know, explore for my, like, scout here. So I basically want to basically have this guy, like, you know, focus on, like, the, like, you know, propulsion tech research, so I can basically get this guy to, like, you know, go further out into, like, the boundaries of the space, so to speak. At level 2 propulsion tech, basically this guy will be able to go, like, you know, one, like, tile further from, like, you know, Referris over here, so instead of, like, basically going, like, you know, 1, 2, 3 squares away, he'll be able to up to 4 tiles for Mr. Scout here, so that's his job right now, basically get up to, like, you know, propulsion tech 2, so he's got to, like, go out further, so to speak. Alright, let's get to exploring a little bit more.
External Affairs has a message for us.
I'll note that the survivor here basically agreed to our stream agreement, so we basically clicking this to get, like, the receive, like, you know, reply. So at this moment, the deal makes sense. So we're inclined to accept, basically. So great. I'll note, by the way, in, like, the refer system here, you can go to trade, and because they have the trade route now, we can basically use our trade route to go trade with Savar. So we're gonna do that with him. And nice, there's another miner basically over here. Nice to see. Now I want to by the way with like trade routes by the way in this game by the way. You can't actually cancel your trade routes in this game, so once you basically set trade route up to like another like system like this, you can't actually like take it off. So basically we're stuck basically trying to survive here until like you're like this guy like joins me, he breaks his agreement with me, or like he basically is destroyed basically so to speak. So we're gonna be stuck straight up survivor until something happens to him basically down the road. Nope, we got morale bonus basically for like doing this agreement with like the survivor here. I'll note that morale basically plays a big part in like how much you basically produce in this game. So because basically I have a morale boost basically for my structures here, I'm not sure it's going to affect these like systems production right now, but you notice basically as you go along here, the more like morale you basically have, the better your production is going to be for your structures by the way. So I'm not sure you can like see any difference like this turn like next, but basically right now we're at like it's like 50 industry for like basically right now we're producing like 41 industry with like my 4 like fabricators right now, and my fabricators basically only have like an industry output of 9. So you can't actually already tell basically that we're basically getting a smaller boost here because with 9 basically like fabricators I should only be like producing 36 industry plus 5 I guess. Alright, so yeah, one morale isn't really affecting us all that much, but as you get more morale you basically see like an effect basically like how much you basically produce and stuff like that. So I also want to show that down the road basically as we like get more morale, but for now it's not really a big thing I guess, so whatever.
We have established contact with an alien culture.
Alright, so here's basically another minor basically in the game. These guys are the Zetrians. They're basically agrarian, they're advanced in technology, and they're normal corruptibility. Unlike the Listians, this guy's not as hostile to me, which is nice to see. And he basically has access to Paradise Region, which basically means more morale. And the Pericap Hot Houses, which basically means more food bonus. So these guys are very good at producing food apparently. And here's a system over here by the way. So he's got a little bit of deuterium on him, he's got a little bit of uranium, a little bit of food. Not a whole lot of population for Zetrians over here, but that's fine. And by the way, I'm looking at for population, it's a very like big like importance for this game because the more populated systems are, the better you can do like produce stuff for these systems or like deal with like other stuff that's gonna happen to you. Pretty good population list here too, by the way. Alright, let's have this guy go over here first, and then we'll like go over it there. We're slowly researching up our propulsion tech, but it's gonna take a while to get it done, but whatever.
We have a new technology.
Alright, so here's basically our first level of propulsion tech out of the way. Note by the way, I got access to the deterrent refiners over here. So these can be used to produce a resource base in this game called the deterrent resources. And you can see like there what it's basically all about. So deuterium is twice the mass of ordinary hydrogen, and it's also called heavy hydrogen. So that's what this is all about. Much like before, notice that the progress has gotten to 0% because we've already reached level 1 for like propulsion. Now we basically want to reach like level 2 like for propulsion, so we basically keep this like where it is right now.
Affirmative.
And interesting, we basically have access to another like planet over here perhaps. Alright, so I think at this point, by the way, we're just gonna keep building fabricators here in Referris for now because I really don't have a point for like building like another colony ship right now, so we're just gonna keep building fabricators. Build 9 of them for now. Or let's play the waiting game, so to speak. Alright, so here's basically another like sector basically to colonize. Notice I got a nice like population limit, but it's got like no food bonuses at all. It does have an energy bonus, which is nice to see though. So there's a yellow star, by the way. That's basically what we basically have hovering around our like planet, basically Earth.
Affirmative.
Let's move them over there. Alright, so I'll note at this point, by the way, that we've basically reached a point where, like, I basically need to, like, wait a few turns for this guy to terraform over here, wait for these guys to terraform over here. So we're just gonna hit the turn button a whole lot, I guess, while we basically, wait for this to go up to level 2, wait for us to terraform, basically. All that's the good stuff, so to speak. So wait a turn, Wait, turn.
External Affairs has a message for us.
Alright, so something happened, by the way. Two things actually happened. The first thing that happened is I got no trade with basically affairs here because we hit our next population pip of 40%, so there's 40 billion people in here now. I also have a friendship tree basically offers for Navarre. So on there's basically several types of trees basically in this game. You basically have a trade tree, a friendship tree, a cooperation tree, alliance membership, and declaration of war basically means war relations. So on the way in this game, he basically offers a friendship tree, which basically means he wants to be friends with us. Hooray! Let's be friends with him. On the friendship tree, by the way, we'll be able to basically go into this guy's territory about him attacking our ships and stuff like that. So very important basically to get early on. It'll also mean that this guy's gonna start to get acceptance of us, which is very important for later purposes too.
Terraforming has been completed.
Now, on the part at this point, we got a nice big morale bonus from friendship with this guy, so we got +3 morale for this right here. So we're now in morale basically of 103. Alright, so yeah, note by the way, we're basically pushing a lot. I'll note that basically we still only produce 5 industry with our 4 things here, but you notice that basically now we're producing a little more industry, basically 4 fabricators here. So as you get more morale, you'll basically get more production for your stuff here. So very important basically. You want to basically have lots of morale basically to boost stuff in your sectors and keep them from going lower, which can happen as well if you're not careful. Alright, so let's basically finish this terraforming over here. So let's terraform the last planet with my ship here.
Select a planet for terraforming.
Now I think at this point the Lycians are going to like me a little bit more, so yeah, I can say this guy's up to, he was angry with me, this guy, but now it's just not cooperative, which is a lot better than what it was before. Alright, let's just see here. Now note something I could do with my credits by the way at this point is actually offer this guy some credits. So let's just gift him 1,000 credits and see if he'll like us a lot more for that. So we'll send him 1,000 credits, and we're gonna try and get this guy to like me a whole lot more to join my empire eventually, or at least have a trade agreement with me for now.
We have a new technology.
Alright, my construction technology is basically research, so we now have construction level 1. Notice I basically have access to the fabricators, the Imperial Shipyard, Titanium Mine, the Refuge for Fire, all good stuff. Also note by the way we also transfer that money to the Lycians there, so our money's basically gone and they now have it basically over there themselves. Again, you can see this one dropped down to 0%, so we're basically back to square one for construction, which is fine for now. There's not a lot to do basically about that, so we'll see it be. Now I want to know by the way it's been a turn since I basically offered the Lycians some money. Notice this guy's basically gonna have to cooperate now. So let's offer him a trade agreement, and basically start trading this guy as well. So we offer the Lycians a trade agreement, and apparently I built the fabricators and repairers over here, so let's get to work building, let's see here. I currently have 24 basic fabricators right now, and basically in repairers, so what I may want to do right now, try to think here. What I want to do right now, I think, is just build up up to maybe 3 fabricators for now. So we're just gonna build 6 more fabricators. We'll end our turn.
Terraforming has been completed. External Affairs has a message for us.
Alright, well that basically happened, but I'll note that the Mars sometimes will decline your trade agreements even if they're cooperative to you, so we'll have to basically wait for this guy maybe to offer a trade agreement, I guess, at this point, so that's fine. I'll note that Mars can offer agreements to you as well, so he might offer me in the future basically trade agreements, so let's hope that will happen in the future, so to speak.
This system will be colonized.
Now, not by the way, because basically terraform both the planets right here, I'll basically get this this ship with no hull, basically terraform the planet and make it my own. So that'll be his job.
Affirmative.
I'm just gonna send this guy over here to Lycia, basically help with terraforming Lycia for now because he's got nothing else to do. Alright, so let's end our turn.
We claim this system in the name of the Rotharian Star Network.
Alright, so we just colonized the first system here. So So you get a nice little morale bonus for like colonizing a system, and basically get like the system has like a new colony. So notice that basically when I colonize like a Borkum here, we basically have a field influence increase. So now we basically have like a border basically up over here. And both of these systems basically have gone like from like light green to like full green basically because they now have like people on them. So 2 people are basically on like a Borkum 2 over here, and 2.1 billion are basically over here in a Borkum 3. Now, first things I want to basically do in a Borkum over here, I want these guys to basically be at work basically building up more stuff. So we're just gonna quickly like shift these guys basically produce like primitive organic factories and like basic fabricators. And I just want these guys to basically build up like 4 primitive organic factories right away. So let's do that with them. Alright, so let's end the turn again. So we produced some stuff. No thing I like this Empire Scoop because basically there's like worker shortages in like both these systems at this point, but whatever, that's fine. Now I want to, by the way, that like
planet for terraforming.
we only have like 7 points of terraforming to basically do with like this like system here. Basically in 4 turns this would be terraform, but like on like the 4th turn, one of you guys basically gonna waste their terraform points to basically like to terraform like this like planet here. But it is how it is, so we're just gonna leave it alone and it's like be what it is for now. So 1 turn.
We have a new technology.
And nice, there's our propulsion tech. Alright, so I'll note that I now have propulsion tech level 2. That's important because it'll basically let my like scout go a little bit further basically into like the reaches of the universe, so we're just gonna like basically change this up to like 20% at this point, or 50% rather. And I'll basically focus on getting construction tech up a level 2 for now for this guy, so that'll be the plan. Alright, so this guy can explore a little bit first, let's do so with him.
Affirmative.
And that's really all I can really do for now, so let's just like explore around, so to speak.
External Affairs has a message for us.
Alright, so there we go. This guy decided to offer his own trading agreement to me, so we now accept this, and I can basically trade this guy next turn. And in Borkum over here, we basically built up like 4 more like organic factories for this guy, which is nice. So he won't have food issues when he gets around to like doing our stuff. Now I want to note by the way at this point, this guy currently has 4 pips basically for like production, but he's at like 5 billion population. Next turn basically we'll have like that extra pip basically for like producing stuff. But on the turn basically get like the even like amount like this, you don't actually have like the like the extra advantage basically of having 5 billion population. So once we basically like start playing this, or like see this like you'll basically get like another pip basically here to do stuff. A Borkum will. And Referris basically now has lots and lots of fabricators. Now at this point I just want to like power up my like fabricators all the way, so we're just gonna do that, basically put up the like 30 right there. We're gonna be starting to upgrade our fabricators at this point. It's basically gonna like boost more stuff. Notice what we can basically see like how much like we're gonna basically get from like upgrading our like our things here. So we'll upgrade 3 like upgradable buildings. We get like 150 more industry basically for doing so. So very big like gain basically like production basically for like doing this. Now note by the way if I like go down here. Notice that basically as like take away like industry basically from like fabricators, this basically go up at some point. We want to just have that sweet spot where we basically have like some food loss basically, but also like we're producing like this at the maximum we can. So maximize your industry, so to speak. Alright, so let's wait a turn here. And this guy can go this way at this point, so
Affirmative.
I should be getting this guy like basically explore around the Bowers, but forgot to do it last turn, so whatever, let's do it this turn.
Terraforming has been completed.
Alright, so Lycian's basically been like, terraformed, as well as like these guys now like me a lot, so these guys are now cooperative, which is nice, basically nice to see. Now I want to know by the way about Savar here. Notice that they now have a substance of 2% with me. Basically, as like we get like better relationships with these guys with like trees and such, they always accept us more. So we now have like some acceptance basically coming from Savar here, which is very nice to see. Alright, so at this point, my ships don't have any real purpose. These colony ships, unfortunately. So
Affirmative.
we're gonna move all my ships basically over here to next to this Mari over here. I want to know, by the way, this guy's not cooperative. And it's worth knowing that, in order for these guys to have agreements with you, actually have to have good relations with them. So in order for this guy to be more cooperative for me, I have to basically get him up to be cooperative with me later on down the road. I need to get propulsion tech up a little free for the ships basically do escape out here. But another alternative basically to moving out to Zyret, once this guy basically has access to 7 billion population, basically a space dock. And that's basically this structure right here. So basically, be built at 7 billion population, and they basically expand your influence basically where you can travel. So we're gonna wait for that basically for next little bit. And by the way, because we have the trade with this guy now, we can do this, and boom. Now we're trading with the Listines over here. All right, so let's keep going. All right, so we basically built up our fabricators here in Aborkum. Note that basically we now have 5.41 billion population, and if I basically go to my production here, you can see there's an extra pip basically for producing stuff. So now we're producing a little bit more food. We're gonna build our fabricator here for now, so let's get that out of the way. And let's just enter turn a couple times.
We have a new technology.
Alright, cool. So we got access to hydroponics on level 1, so there we go. We now have access to the organic replica over here. So our research made a breakthrough in biotech, so hooray, level 1 of this. Let's just take this off for now. And I'll basically throw all this stuff basically into propulsion for now. Always to get construction tech up to level 2 at this point, but get propulsion tech up to level 3 will be important later down the road, so to speak. So get this up to level 2 and we'll start focusing on this basically to level 3, so to speak. Ooh, nice. So I will note by in this game, there is some worlds that have no need to terraform. They're basically terrestrial worlds. Over here in Heka, there's basically one terrestrial world over here. So that's nice to see. That'll definitely be a good system to colonize later down the road, so definitely want to grab this system when I get the chance to. Right then, let's end our turn. We build up our fabricator in Aborkum. Now, I'll note that much Referis, we basically have a storage of food basically to start off with here. We're just gonna drop down our fabricator to be fully maxed out for production, and we'll drop this down to 1. And we're just gonna do that so basically we can build our fabricators in one turn here. So we'll build 2 more fabricators. So boom. We'll set this guy to go over this way.
Affirmative.
And boom. By the way, our upgrade for our fabricators are basically done Referis, so if I go over here to Referis, we basically see we're producing lots of industry here now. Right now we just want to produce the organic factory or replicators basically in a single turn here, so we'll do that. Note by the way, I actually have so much production now that I basically produce this. We overall produce basically what we need to upgrade our organic factories. So we'll get this basically upgraded, and we'll have food basically issues basically out of the way for a little bit. All right, Aborkum over here. They basically build up their fabricators. I'm gonna drop this guy basically down to be 3 fabricators for now, and we're gonna throw basically into titanium now for upgrade purposes in the future. And with this guy right here, I just wanted to build a titanium mine right now, so we'll build that right here. Let's get that out of the way. All right, so let's spend another couple turns basically ending our turn. Right, we built that basically over there, so we now have access to the organic replicators over here now. Now, I know at this point, by the way, I want to build up maybe a couple, gravitational turbines, so we want to get, a couple of these basically out of the way, so we'll just build a few of these right here. In Aborkum, by the way, we basically, build up the, titanium mine. Now, this is, what I like to use as a reference, by the way. I like to build, 3, titanium mines over here, have, 6 fabricators as well as 6, organic factories. And actually, I'm gonna do this right now to get like more titanium mine output from this guy right here. Down the road, by the way, for like a working right here, I want this guy basically to like be producing like something basically in the future for like stuff. The 6 permanent organic factors basically be enough to basically help like prevent starvation if I need to early on. And the fabricators are basically 6 of them are basically what you need to basically produce like your basic structures. So with 6 basically like laboratories for example, I'll be able to build like a fabricators by the way. You can build like laboratories for example in like 1 turn basically, or Beerus person is like to 10 mines in 1 turn. So very important stuff basically. All right, so right now. I want to note by the way that Repairs basically has a food like function of like 100%, and like Aborkum basically does not. So I basically want to go into here in Aborkum, I think, and we're just going to basically produce like a little bit of like organic factors I think just to help mitigate that problem a little bit further because he will need more food biome in the future. So we're just going to build these like, up for now. Now note by the way, I'm basically waiting to basically get this up to 7 billion population in this system here. So I might stop these in a moment, but for now we're just gonna build these up and we'll go from there. Oh, here's like some of our system basically exploring over here. So there's like entire states you have like some good titanium basically right there, and there's Nox. Good deuterium, good crystals, very nice system. I'm probably gonna use like Listia for like determine in the future, but this is a good camp basically like produce like determine if I need to like have some in the meantime, so to speak. So that's good to know. All right, let's end our turn. And we'll end our turn again. All right, so at this point I want to note that we're basically up to 7 billion population with Arborkum over here. Note that when you basically get to 7 billion population, you build like these space docks. So we're just gonna cancel this, and we'll basically buy this out right now. And for a turn, let's just basically like throw everything into like food production to boost this up a little bit. All right, Repairs basically over here. Now for Repairs, I basically want to basically get up to like what do I basically need to basically build like this basically up here. And I really don't want to basically be spending like resource points basically building stuff I don't really need to right now. So one thing about doing right now, by the way, I want to make sure like we get this basically like done as fast as possible. We're just gonna max out construction tech basically get this resource as fast as possible right now. So everything's in construction tech basically get this done right now. So in the meantime, over here, we're gonna build barracks because we're gonna need this eventually. So let's get this done right now. And you can go up here for now. Now I want to by the way, because I built the space dock over here in Borkum. Note that basically we now like can explore a little bit further out here now. So basically like explore like one tile basically out this way now if I want to, which is nice to see. So before I can like explore maybe like out like this far of like Repairs, but because we now have a Borkum, we're gonna explore out this far of him. So we just increase our board space to explore over here. These guys here can now go over to like help like colonize or like do other stuff with these guys here. So let's get them basically doing that right now.
Affirmative.
And go over here to heck with them. And we're still want to build like the primitive organic factory over here. So let's do that with this guy here. So let's get this built up again. Now I will not bother at this point. I probably want to build like some fabricators here soon. So we'll build this up and then we'll like build fabricators basically after that. And we're not quite yet up to like construction tech stuff over here. So something I can possibly do for a turn. Let's see here. Let's build a colony ship because I need to build like more colony ships. I think. We're just gonna buy that outright, and we'll just like make him go over this way. It's like new colony ship when I get him.
We have a new technology.
All right, perfect. So I just got myself the construction tech upgrade right there. So there's my fabricator class 2. They'll be used to like produce like more like stuff for me if I want them to. We also got access to uranium mines, which is nice to basically have for like alloys and such. Alright, so there's basically just at like, 0%. And at this point we're gonna like, focus basically all our efforts basically on propulsion tech for a little bit. Here's my new like, calling ship will basically send over to like,
Affirmative.
help with like, terraforming this guy's plans over here to make him like happier and stuff like that. And while we're on that subject, by the way, we're gonna give this guy a little bit of money, I think, to try and get him to like me a little bit more. And these guys are gonna get to work basically like terraforming and colonizing and stuff like that, so...
Select a planet for terraforming.
We're gonna get these guys basically focus on like, terraforming that ocean planet right now, I think.
Select a planet for terraforming.
So that'll be their job right now, is to terraform that right now and just get out of the way. Alright, good to see it. Basically lots of plant space to work with in here. Alright, so... Avorcum. They basically built up their, like, knife, basically primitive organic factory over here. We're just gonna, like, do this for a little bit, I think. I want these guys basically to produce a little bit more, like, fabricators and stuff like that, so let's produce a few of these right here. And... in Referius here, we're just going to build up our second like class of fabricators, so let's do that with them. So, we'll take this out of here. We don't need energy just yet. Alright, so the sweet spot basically to build up my fabricators in 6 turns is 29. So just, leave my like, industry basically set to there for now. Alright, so, I'm actually being called right now, so... I guess we'll just end like this like first episode here. I'll just like continue on for, like, from here to the next one. So take care for now. All right, so this is a bit of an after recording to like the first episode, but well, I basically want to like quickly like just throw in an addendum here, basically to show off like saving the game. I will note that it basically is an autosave feature in this game, but if you want to basically manually save your game, you can, and that's basically just how you do it. So basically right now we're putting like a save right there for like, the game. It'll basically put a timestamp for like, when the save is basically made. So you can see like, it's basically made on like, the 21st, the year like 2021, in June on the 13th. And you can see basically the time, military time for like, basically when it was done. So there's like, all that information right there. You can also see like, what turn you're basically on, what like difficulty you're basically on, what the size of the map and like what it is basically set up to. All that stuff is basically here as well. And if we go to load, you basically see like, it's like, it can be like in there with your saves. Alright, so this can be like the end of like the first episode here. I'm just gonna quickly like, cut the recording because well, let's just see how this basically turned out for like, recording wise and let's go from there. So I'll see you guys in like the next episode in a moment, so take care.